originally recorded this yesterday for the running back rankings. Unfortunately, it's before the Monday Night Football games, and we all seen what happened with Nick Chubb. So he was originally in this list, and he is no longer in this list. So let's find out what the running back rankings are now for Week 3. Go ahead and kicking us off. It's going to be Christian McCaffrey versus the Giants on Thursday Night Football. This is going to be a great matchup for Christian McCaffrey if you have him in fantasy. Definitely like him in this matchup. These are not my rankings. These are Jonathan's rankings. I'm just filling in for him this week, and this is kind of what he came up with after, especially with the Nick Chubb injury. So Christian McCaffrey is number 1 on his list, and then number 2 is going to be Joe Mixon versus the Rams. The Rams have actually given up a pretty decent amount of rushing yards, especially to McCaffrey in Week 2, and actually gave up a decent amount to Kenneth Walker in Week 1. That being said, the Bengals have a really good offensive line. This is a good matchup for Joe Mixon, especially at home against the Rams on Monday Night Football. So look out for that one as well. Number 3 is going to be Tony Pollard at the Cardinals. Cardinals have just been getting destroyed, it seems like, in the running game. They've been just giving up way too many yards. It feels like that way. It just feels like the running game's just dominant against the Cardinals. Now, this is Dallas. However, Tony Pollard's also a pass-catching back, so that's definitely going to be beneficial for him in this week. How about number 4? Let's go to Breece Hall versus the Patriots. It seems like he's kind of just taken over at this point. No more Dalvin Cook, it feels like. It feels like Dalvin Cook has kind of just been phased out right away. So, as of right now, it looks like Breece Hall is the guy. Week 2 is a little rough for both guys against Dallas, but Breece Hall is going to probably have a good bounce-back game against the Patriots. I honestly believe that it could be the case, and it seems the way Jonathan's thinking as well. Number 5 is Kenneth Walker, the third, versus the Panthers. It's going to be a good matchup. Finding the end zone twice against the Panthers was the running back for the Saints after Jamal Williams went out with a injury. So Kenneth Walker is number 5 on this list. Number 6 is going to be Derrick Henry at the Browns. Another good matchup. Browns defense has been pretty good against the run. They've been pretty stingy, but this is Derrick Henry. He's going to find a way to get yards, whether it's passing, getting those catches, a lot of yak in this situation probably for him, but he will also be able to get a couple good gains here and there and be able to bulk up some yardage. How about number 7, Ramondre Stevenson? It seems like he's just been fantasy relevant this year. Okay, he stepped in here. He's not doing a whole lot, but he's doing enough to make sure he's a running back 2, close to a running back 1. He's been consistent. That's what you need in fantasy to continue to put up numbers. Number 8, Alexander Mattison. Again, the volume has been there. The production has not. And against the Chargers, I expect this to be more of a rush-heavy defense. They're going to be blitzing a little bit more, so they might have to get the ball out quick and cue Madison. Now, you do have really good receivers over the top, so once you start getting Madison in there, they might have to drop back in coverage, which means Madison then opens up in the run game. That's going to be beneficial for Madison, so he's number 8. Number 9 is going to be Travis Etienne versus the Texans. Enough said there. Texans have not done the best against the running game, it seems like. So Etienne's going to be number 9. Number 10 is Josh Jacobs versus the Steelers. Not a good running performance. Definitely a better receiving and pass catching yards performance from Josh Jacobs in Week 2. However, versus the Steelers, this is another good opportunity for him to kind of have a bounce-back week as well. Moving on, how about number 11? You got James Conner versus the Cowboys. Cowboys have been a little stingy on the running game. However, with Josh Dobbs behind the center in this situation for the Cardinals, you're going to have to find a way to get the ball out quickly, more than likely. And that's going to be a lot of dump-off passes to either the tight end. But in this situation, James Conner has actually been able to get a lot of catches over the last couple of years. I could see that continuing here in Week 3. Number 12 and number 13 are kind of going to be 1A, 1B in this situation, but based on production and performance right now, this is how it's looking. Number 12 is David Montgomery versus the Falcons. He is questionable, okay? Now, that being said, it is a thigh injury, not something you really want with a running back. So that's why Jahmyr Gibbs is number 13 versus the Falcons. This is a home game for the Lions. Jahmyr Gibbs is probably going to get more of a workload. It does seem like Montgomery might be actually out this game just to kind of give him a little bit of extra time to heal up, which wouldn't be a bad thing if you're a David Montgomery owner, but if you're a Jahmyr Gibbs owner, this is his chance to shine depending on how Sunday plays out. How about number 14? We got Bijan Robinson at the Lions, a similar game, 12, 13, 14, all in the same game. Bijan Robinson has been showing everyone why he was drafted in a lot of leagues in the first and early second rounds. Bijan Robinson has just been tearing up the ground, and with a little bit of pass catching as well. Upside of that, it's a good matchup for him against the Lions. Number 15, Brian Robinson, after a stellar performance and 2 touchdowns against the Broncos. Now he gets the Bills. Bills have not been too kind to the running backs. However, Brian Robinson just seems like he's on an all-out tear at this point. That being said, let's move on to number 16, Raheem Mostert versus the Broncos. After Brian Robinson just torched the Broncos, I expect this to kind of be a similar situation. Mostert's not going to get 2 touchdowns more than likely, but he could see the end zone and could get a good amount of rushing yards, especially with the pass-catching ability of Mostert. And it sounds like Jalen Waddle might have a concussion, or he does have a concussion and is questionable for Sunday, and it doesn't seem like it's looking all that positive. More of a 50-50 shot that Waddle plays. If Waddle does not play, Mostert's definitely going to be boosted up in value. Number 17 is going to be Rachaad White versus the Eagles. He's been pretty good for Tampa Bay so far, more consistent, and the Eagles are not the best at the run defense as of right now as well. Number 18 is going to be James Cook at the Commanders. The Commanders have a really good front 7 in this situation. However, James Cook showed why he is versatile and he is where he is with his running ability. If he doesn't have that, then obviously he can get in the passing game. Put up 20 points in most fantasy league, depending on your scoring. That's good enough for me to have him as an RB1. He is ranked 18, but he is a low-end RB1, high-end RB2 for Week 3. Number 19 is Isaiah Pacheco versus the Bears. It seems like he finally might have hit a little bit of a stride, a little giddy-up. Not a full-on sprint yet. We're not quite there, but Pacheco seems like he's finally getting a little bit of steam picking up here into Week 2. Let's see if that can continue into Week 3. Number 20 is going to be Jerome Ford. Jerome Ford is going to be at home against the Titans. This is a good matchup for Jerome Ford. Defense for the Titans is a little undervalued, I will say. I thought that they weren't going to be as good as they all have been so far this year. That being said, Jerome Ford is clearly the number 1 back now that Nick Chubb is out for the year, sadly, on the Browns' part. But for Jerome Ford, he's going to be ranked number 20 for us in this week. Number 21 is going to be Miles Sanders at the Seahawks. Definitely a good matchup for Miles Sanders, especially with the pass catching ability. Bryce Young is definitely starting to get a little bit more comfortable. Okay, 2017 win for the Saints over the Panthers on Monday night. But the Panthers, they fought until the very end. Not the best game, though, overall. 22 is going to be Javonte Williams at the Dolphins. Javonte Williams' pass-catching ability is going to be good. Secondary is definitely going to have to come up and help with that situation. The front 7 is not doing what we expected them to do in Miami. That being said, Javonte Williams will be number 22. Number 23 will be Zach Moss at the Ravens. Lower end guy for me. Definitely somebody that's going to have to run the ball more often than not. Get a little bit of pass catching in there. Deion Jackson was not it, and he's still not it. So Zach Moss is clearly the guy that the Colts are going to run with. And with Gardner Minshew back there, you got a veteran who's going to be able to know when it's good to dump off to a running back, which is definitely a plus. Najee Harris on Monday Night Football definitely started picking up some steam with the running, and that's why he is number 24, and he is at the Raiders. Now, a little bit of a tougher matchup for him against the Raiders. Max Crosby is usually a little stingy with the run game as well. We'll see what happens with that one, but after a win on Monday night for the Steelers, Najee Harris definitely picking up some speed. Could be a good matchup for him. Number 25 is going to be Jamal Williams. Again, he is questionable with an injury. However, if he is able to go, this is definitely a sleeper pick for me, in a sense. He is ranked number 25 for Jonathan and I on here. However, him being a former Packer, Lambeau Field is going to have no effect on him. He knows what it's like to play there. He knows the feeling of it. And he got a taste of what it was like to be an opponent when he was with the Lions, a divisional opponent. Now he's with the Saints and he goes back to Lambeau. That's going to be a good potential matchup for Jamal Williams. And that's going to do it for our running back rankings for Week 3. Make sure you like, subscribe, follow on us on YouTube here. Make sure you give us a like, a thumbs up. We need it as much as possible. We're here to help you guys try to put the best lineup forward, give you our best insight. We do our research weekly, see where we're at with it, and we're definitely trying to make sure that we can help you win championships in your fantasy leagues. Other than that, you guys have a good one. Make sure you look out for the Start Sit videos tomorrow.